if we outscore them by even just one goal,
Like 2-1, then we'll win the
like
damn thing.
2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 5-4, any of those, we win because we get in the away goal tiebreak.
We just have to win this game, essentially.
Yes. Win the game and you win. Yep. So easier said than done. It's on the road. It's in Miami. They're going to be much more comfortable. So,
But we're getting comfortable too, man. Like we're getting in the flow of things. We got a lot of players that haven't really played together. I mean, Manu Garcia is getting in there. Suleiman, how do you say his name? Suleimanov. He's getting in there doing things. We're looking okay, dude. It's a pretty dangerous threat down the left side. I mean, we saw Logan and Mbembe back in there this weekend, and Shaloway's playing on the left there, so it could be interesting.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy Daniel Kooser. And Dan, we got our first actual MLS action to talk about, our first competitive soccer action for Sporting KC to talk about. And, people have thoughts. There were no wins, but, there's plenty to talk about with these games, I think, too. So we'll get to it.
Soccer was played. The season's up, dude. We're in. We're in it now. The earliest start to the season ever, and we're in it. It's fun, man. LA's playing San Diego right now as we're recording this, so good times. How would you like to be a team coming into the league and you got to play the champs?
Is it? Oh, I guess it is the LA Galaxy. For some reason, I was thinking it was LAFC, but no, they already they played yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting way for San Diego to start. I'm assuming they're trying to get a SoCal rivalry, another one going here. I mean,
probably.
LA, it's not ever going to be the Galaxy and LAFC. That obviously is their primary rival. But San Diego, we'll see. It's interesting. I picked them personally to be the wooden spoon finisher this year.
Oh wow, okay. Well, so far they're holding their own against LA, man. So
they are. Now the Galaxy have no Ricky Puig, but
that's true.
No Jovic, as we know. So
yeah, because we took your man.
But yeah, how are you doing? How's the recovery going?
It's going well, dude. I am ready to race whenever you are. No,
you might still beat me. I'm that slow.
I'm getting around. It's pretty wild, but the amount of effort you can still do. Dude, I woke up last night with burning feet. Didn't know what this was, and it was like some nerve pain, is what it is, and it's very common in like post-surgery stuff. And there's a hill that I'm on that's for that, but I do not recommend that. I was like, who is burning my feet? It felt like fire.
Like it literally felt like someone was like torching your feet.
Yeah, in my heels, like the very tip of the heels, and then like my two smallest toes were hot, and I had to like get up and walk around. It was weird. So I got like 4 hours of sleep.
Are you supposed to put like ice or anything on it, or put it in cool water? Is there anything that can help?
No, I mean it's just nerve stuff, right? So it's not like real heat,
right?
But it's just part of it. I took a nap this afternoon though, and that was no problem. So
there you go.
We'll see how tonight goes.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that it's going well. For the most part, yeah. Recovery stuff. That's no joke.
You gotta stay out of the hospital.
Yeah, for sure. Follow all those orders and everything. I did not experience any burning sensation, but I was worried sitting outside for the first half, at least, of this Inter Miami game on Wednesday night that I was going to get hypothermia and or frostbite.
Yeah, you were burning for a different reason. It was frostbite.
Yeah, it was. I showed up and I looked at my phone. I think they said official kickoff temperature was 5 degrees, which makes it the coldest game in the history of Sporting Kansas City. I think the previous coldest game was MLS Cup 2013, and I think official temperature was 22 degrees, I want to say. Now, keep in mind, they do not use wind chill. They use like what is the actual temperature. I looked at my phone, my weather app on my phone, right at kickoff, and it said feels like -12. So it was a little chilly.
I saw you guys out there, man, getting it, just being in the elements with everybody. Players were breathing that cold air, man. It's not good for you to breathe that cold air.
It was not great. I had a whole I tweeted a picture of it myself, but like I had a whole face mask situation going on. I had 3 different jackets on. I had a hat, I had a scarf, I had my hood up, I had my gloves on. They gave us hand warmers for those of us who are outside that we were trying to use. I didn't even bother trying to have my computer out there because I was like, it's not going to function in this cold. I tried to send a couple of tweets or posts on Blue Sky from my phone. Fingers weren't working properly. Phone didn't want to cooperate in the cold.
Ooh, wow.
My problem that I had was I don't own any leggings or anything. Like I have no way to layer underneath my pants. So I only had jeans on and nothing else under that. Chad, our buddy Chad Smith, he was smart and he brought a whole ass blanket and just was like bundled up outside. And I was like, damn it. He did offer to share with me. I was like, I appreciate it. But we don't need to cuddle. As much as it might have been the smart. It wasn't a huge blanket. I didn't want to take his blanket from him. It was very kind. I did
If it's gonna save my life, buddy, I will Brokeback Mountain with you anytime. I'm not even playing.
It wasn't a life or death situation.
Right.
It was just a comfort situation. But I was like all balled up. I was kind of rubbing my legs. And then as it turns out, we were able to sit inside for the second half of the game because some of the TV people didn't make it out to the game. So there were some empty seats.
I wonder why. They didn't want to brave it with all the bloggers and everything.
Well, now what was funny is, there were all these questions leading up to the game. Is Messi going to play? Is he not going to play? Is Messi going to play? Is he not going to play? And, Javier Mascherano, the coach of Miami, said he is going to play. He's available. And a lot of us were like, well, Messi says he doesn't want to play. What are you going to do? He didn't. He played. He not only played, he started. And he played the whole game. But I got this video from the press box of when they came out and they were doing the lineup. And this cracks me up because you can see Messi. He's just absolutely miserable. You can see the breath, everything. And then I look to the right of the video, and there's Eric Tommy, just a statue, not moving at all, just militant. He's just got his hands behind his back. Everyone else.
I can't believe he wasn't just saluting, dude, just in it.
It was so funny because all of the Miami players, and to be fair, most of the Kansas City players are jumping around. John Polskamp had a hat on, a beanie, which I get because goalies don't move around all that much. And I didn't notice it at first because I was just taking a video of Messi's reaction to the cold. And as I'm halfway through taking the video, I look to the right and I see Eric Tommy, just a military statue, not moving at all. And I was like, okay, we'll see.
That was so funny. There are 2 types of people. If only Eric Tommy played like Leo Messi plays, that would have been even better. But he was just unfazed, like so focused.
Yeah, it was. I did see Messi, I think, partway through the game, he was rotating hand warmers in his gloves because at one point he was handed something from the sides, ripped them off, put them in his gloves, and then threw the package at the sideline. Accidentally hit the assistant referee, which was very clearly an accident. He apologized, and the ref looked for a second.
He's like, "Hey man, I'll get you a jersey after the game. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Ooh. We'll talk about that. That's a wild story.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was certainly cold. Eric Tommy had some crazy eyes. I think you sent a photo that you found of Eric Tommy talking to the referee. I don't know. I didn't.
Bro, that was the Austin game.
Oh, that was the Austin game?
Did you see that last night?
Was it? That was because it was the
game. Yeah. I mean, Eric Tommy's the captain, as we thought he would be. That was kind of our pick, I believe, or at least mine, I think. And so he's in just listening to the ref, dude. Just eyeballs are bugging out.
It was pretty funny. And for some reason, I apologize. My dog has decided to start going crazy now.
So you have a burglar?
She probably heard something outside there. I don't know what's going. Hey, can you? Thank you. Thank you. But wall is. Hold on a second.
You know what? Let me take over here because I got some things I want to talk about. Leo Messi, dude, is a they call it a GOAT. All right, I don't know if you know what that stands for, but that's greatest of all time. And that man is something else, dude. He is just he didn't do a whole lot in the game, but every time he got the ball, you could tell like, oh shit, there's this clear sense of urgency. Like someone picked this man up, because it's not about him scoring. It's about him finding other people that could score too. And a lot of pink and black out there in the crowds too. A lot of people braved that cold for Leo Messi. We declined buying tickets to this game early on because I knew I was going to have surgery. Plus, they were a little pricey at the time. And to see how ticket prices plummeted since it was so cold.
Do you remember how much they were face value? Because I saw some people say that, and it must have just been all of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, like the whole package in the event that they went further in the tournament. But I saw someone say that like the CONCACAF Champions Cup tickets were almost a third of like the whole season ticket cost.
I want to say for my season ticket price for my seat, I want to say it was $70 or $80 per seat, which is considerably high than what I pay for a regular game. I was like, okay, that makes sense. We're not going to commit to that. Maybe we'll look at third party. But then the surgery that I was going to have, I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. And then to know that you could get tickets for like $20 on game day because of the cold, whole different story. Made you feel good you didn't buy them, I guess.
Yeah, they announced an attendance of about 15,000 and change. I would guess, I mean, that's tickets sold. I would guess maybe 11 to 12,000 people were actually there. It certainly wasn't empty.
I was going to say, sure didn't look like that many. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it's like just under 19,000 is the official seating capacity of Tolman's Mercy Park. You can get up to close to 21,000 with standing room only. So I would guess probably 11, 12,000. Now there were, as you said, a decent contingent of, I'm not going to call them Miami fans. I'm going to call them Lionel Messi fans, because there was somebody in the cauldron holding up a Messi Barcelona shirt, which was annoying. And then pretty soon, they weren't wearing it. So I don't know if that's how they got around it, if they were wearing it under another shirt, and then I saw them holding it up behind a Wizards flag, which was annoying.
Okay.
And then pretty soon after the game started, I don't know if you could hear it on the broadcast, a Messi chant started throughout the stadium.
Man, oh man.
It was the sporting fans drowned it out. Like once it started, they were like, oh, no, we're not going to let that happen.
We're not going to do this.
But it was, and there was the pitch invader after he scored his goal. Someone ran on the field and tried to get him to sign a jersey, I guess. So
I did not notice that. I think I was just so mad that happened because we were playing a considerably good, decent game. I was like, man, we're really like doing well defensively, and that's with someone like Bolider in there, man, who we kind of harped on last year a little bit, and I was just very surprised that we were in the game, because I'm not sure we'll be able to say that on Tuesday when we have to play them again in Miami.
Sure, for sure. Let's take our break here real quick, then we'll talk a little bit more about the game on Tuesday and preview the game, or the game on Wednesday and preview this upcoming game on Tuesday. But we'll take our break and we'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your number one source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Dude, so since I last talked to you, I've had a couple sessions in person, physical therapy. And of course, I'm doing all these exercises like multiple times a day here at home, just like in the recliner and stuff. And I tell you, man, I was a fit man beforehand, before surgery, because I was like, I need to be because I'm going to be out of commission here. And then now, some of these little rinky-dink exercises, I'll lay back and start breathing a little heavy. All I'm doing is like moving my leg up and down.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting how you lose your stamina, cardio, just like, and it doesn't take all that long to lose it, which is it's the same thing. It's like the inverse of gaining weight. I always feel like you can gain weight or at least I can gain weight so fast. It takes me a long time to lose weight. And similarly, like, it takes me a while to build up my stamina, build up endurance, whether I'm doing cardio and running or trying to weight lift or whatnot. But I lose it a lot faster when I can build it up.
Yeah. And I'm on pain meds, so I'm like a little lightheaded sometimes. Sometimes some nausea comes on, so then I got to take another pill because that's for nausea. It's a wild time, dude. It's I can't really be done with my little little med cocktail I got going on.
You'll get there. You'll get there soon, and you'll be glad. And since you had them both on at the same time, you won't have to do this again for at least a long time.
That's the idea.
So, let's talk the lineup that Sporting threw out there on Wednesday night, because you mentioned Volader. He was in there next to Danny Rosero. I was a little surprised to see Rosero start because we knew he wasn't fit fully.
Yeah.
But I think what was maybe most interesting to me was, and this also happened in the Austin game, was Jake Davis was starting at right back with the youngster Jacob Bartlett in the midfield. And I think many of us thought and still believe that Jake Davis' best position is in the midfield, and he probably should be in the midfield. But it seems that Kyrie is battling some form of an injury, maybe a hamstring or something, that he has not been available for these first couple games. So Jake's really the only other option at right back on this roster right now, and that put young Jacob Bartlett in his first ever professional game for Sporting Kansas City. It's going up against Lionel Messi.
I am so like, I in that moment I'm so like excited for him and for that, but also like kind of like shitting my pants for him because that is such a what a huge moment for a kid like that, man. And I loved how this kid played the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, Jacob Bartlett, no one really knows your name yet, man, but go make him take notice.
He's feisty. I texted you after the game. I was like, he's a feisty player, and he was emotional and not
Luis Suarez.
Well,
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I wish we all could.
Wish we all had give Suarez a little push, like whoever pushed Brad Guzan into the net last year.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
Very funny.
But I mean, Bartlett, there were a couple times, I say emotional, and I don't mean like out of control, but I mean like he makes a good play or Sporting makes a good play, and he's like pumping up, firing up the crowd, like telling them to get up. Like,
hell yeah,
he's got a fire in him that I enjoy.
That is Sporting. Like, that is Sporting Kansas City. For someone to do that, who like just came in and we're kind of like, who the hell are you situation? He's like, I'm with you guys. I'm one of you. Right. And that felt cool.
That's how Johnny Russell endeared himself early on in his Sporting career, is people saw that Scottish fire inside of him when something would go down, and he was right there. Because Johnny's not the biggest dude, but he'd be right there standing up for his teammates. Now, Johnny was a little more established in his career, quite a bit more than Jacob Bartlett is. But I did think it's funny, at one point, Bartlett got called for a foul against Messi, and Messi went to ground and was holding himself, and Bartlett started to walk by, and then he turned around. He must have I imagine the inner monologue in his head as he goes, I just fouled Lionel Messi. Like, this might be the only time in my career I got to help him up. And so he went down and he was trying to talk to him, and Messi didn't like really acknowledge him first. But then Bartlett was like, I'm not leaving until I help you up, and like really helped him up. And then he looked like he whispered something in Messi's ear and kind of gave him a little pat on the back. And I was like, that's going to be something. I don't know what Bartlett's career will look like for the rest of his life, but he'll always get to remember when he fouled Lionel Messi and then helped him up. So
gonna feel good, man.
I guess.
I mean, I think you foul him just so you can touch the goat's hand, right?
Right, exactly. And overall, I think Bartlett played pretty well. I think there were, Dejan Jovalic, he started. He played, what was it, a solid 60 minutes or so before William Agata came in. Joaquin Fernandez came in for Danny Rosero at the half, and it took 10, 11 minutes into the second half for Lionel Messi to be Lionel Messi. It was a good goal. He got the ball in the box, and he slotted it across face of goal. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do?
No, the goal's not the problem. We didn't that was perfect. We couldn't have stopped that. It's fine. But like, the earlier pass shouldn't have happened. Like, we could have been better there. So there's moments here, but man, you can't take much away from our performance that night, because we played pretty well. And I love that. Like, and Peter said at the end of the game, like, if this was a game last year, we probably would have lost 3-0.
That was crazy for him to just openly say that.
To just openly throw last year's team under the bus like that, like, it was interesting.
I mean, he did. I mean, at the end of last year, he got a little bit more open with his criticisms, and he was talking about it's a mentality thing, and there are certain people that aren't going to be here next year and all that stuff. And yeah, I think he's right in that this was the type of game where You give up a goal early in the second half, it would have snowballed last year. And they stayed in it. Monty Garcia came in, had about 30 minutes, looked good when he was in there. Didn't really get a chance to play with Jovic, but he was in there. I came away from Wednesday night thinking, okay, hard to take much from this because it was -12. It was Inter Miami. It's the first game of the year.
Sure.
But there's things to build on. That's what I took away.
I was interested. I was like, okay, I will be happy when we are playing in decent weather with decent health, not 4 days later in 39-degree rain or whatever in Austin, Texas. So not favorable conditions there either, but it was exciting that we didn't have to wait too long for another game because I'm having a good time.
That's true. I was going to say one more thing about the Miami game is shots. We were about even with them, 7-9, but we actually outshot them on goal. They only had one shot on goal. It was Lionel Messi's shot. So for a team with that much firepower, again, -12 degrees, hard to take much away, but I want to give a shout out to the defense overall because they're the ones that have been getting hammered in the offseason and from last year largely as the unit that is probably the quote-unquote worst unit of the team. Thought they did overall pretty decent.
Put these two games together, man, you lost 1-0 in both of them. That's a pretty good defensive performance overall. Have you gotten a chance to watch much of the Onside docuseries for the MLS docuseries?
I haven't watched this yet. I've heard overall good things about it, but I've also heard it's a messy fest.
So you haven't? What? It's not a messy fest. I had a great time.
Like they started out basically Miami and Galaxy, right?
I watched the whole thing, and that was never really mentioned again because they plucked little storylines from last year. Like there was an episode about the first game being Miami versus LA, which is a big deal, right? There was a story about Kevin Sullivan being the 14-year-old kid in Philadelphia being signed. He had his own episode. I was like, this kid, that's crazy. There was a whole episode about Tim Parker in St. Louis, kind of focused on his journey, and he got let go at the end, halfway through the season, and their rivalry with SKC, and we got to see like some of the SKC players playing golf with George Brett. I'm talking Johnny Polskamp. I think Daniel was there, and George Brett was telling him like, "Man, this St. Louis rivalry, like, we didn't play them until like '85, and I got to tell you." Like we beat them 11-0, so fuck those guys. and then Johnny goes, the place is a shithole too. And I was like, if you're a St. Louis fan and you are watching this docuseries right now, and Johnny said that, you hate SKC so much right now.
So funny.
He's shithole, but also like, where's the lie?
I was gonna say, have you been
bro?
Last time I was in St. Louis, I was there for a comedy show, and it was at this was, May of last year. It was right by whatever they call it, the Enterprise Arena, where the Blues play. So I walked down to the Enterprise Arena. Keep in mind, this is like 1:30 in the afternoon. This is broad daylight. And I went into the team store, I'm looking around. I'm not a hockey fan. I'm not a Blues fan. I'm not going to buy anything, but I'm just looking around. And then I come out, and there's a team store employee who's just sitting there on a smoke break. And this guy, who's clearly not all there, comes up to me. I think I told you this. He came up to me super fast. He goes, "Give me $1." And I was like, "Sorry, I don't have any cash," which was true. And then he like lunges at me. And he's like,
"Oh no,
give me $1." And he starts like kind of going at me. And I back up. And I was like, whoa. Like, hold on. And I pull out my phone. I'm like about to call the police. And the guy kind of like cocked back. And then he looked and saw like the team store employee who kind of stood up. And then he just kind of MF'd me and kind of like walked away and kept saying stuff. And I was like, some dude at 1:30 in the afternoon in St. Louis just tried to beat my ass because I wouldn't give him $1. So yeah, my impression of St. Louis is not great.
Doesn't sound great. I one other thing from that episode too, by the way, is that Roger was there with some of the guys, like having coffee or lunch or something. And he said a line, which was, "Hey, play hard, make the playoffs, and there'll be little changes in the offseason," meaning like personnel changes. And I'm like, man, and seeing Johnny Russell in this docuseries right now and knowing he's not with us anymore, like
that's hard.
He didn't die, by the way. I do want to preface that. The way I said that sounded like maybe he's dead. He's not.
No.
So,
yeah, I'm going to have to check it out.
I binged the whole thing, bro. Like, like I've had time on my hands or something.
Yeah. So Miami, that's the next game. Round 2.
Tuesday, 7:00 again.
Yeah, so away goals count. So that's a bummer that they got
We get
an
one.
away goal.
If we've been in one, we go to extra and all that, right?
I don't remember if it's extra time or straight to penalties, but yes, if we win 1-0, then it's a draw. If we outscore them by even just one goal,
like 2-1, then we'll win the damn thing.
2-1, 3-2, 4-3, 5-4, any of those, we win because we get the away goal tiebreaker.
We just have to win this game, essentially.
Yes. Win the game and you win. Yep. So easier said than done. It's on the road. It's in Miami. They're going to be much more comfortable. So,
we're getting comfortable too, man. Like we're getting in the flow of things. We got a lot of players that haven't really played together. I mean, Manu Garcia is getting in there. Suleiman, how do you say his name? Suleimanov. He's getting in there doing things. We're looking okay, dude. It's a pretty dangerous threat down the left side. I mean, we saw Logan and Mbembe back in there this weekend, and Shallowy's playing on the left there. So it could be interesting. I don't know. Eric Tommy, by the way, I want to point out, Eric Tommy was kind of making me mad against Miami because he would get it and he'd go on a big old sprint and it would just get taken from him immediately. Like, just stuffed. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing?
I mean, for all we know, they couldn't feel their legs. Like, every time they kicked that ball, I was like, that's like kicking a fucking boulder.
Good point. And I had a little worry there. But you know who made me mad in this Austin game? I'm going to say it. Willie Agata. And that's right. I said Willie because he will be Willie until he scores on a wide open net. He will be William when he scores on a wide open net. I'm so upset. Like that game could have been differently. I don't know what to say about it, dude. He gets in Logan and Denbe's way, who was going to probably do something with this gorgeous cross from Jake Davis. I'm like, get out of the way, bro.
To be fair, they also had, I want to say it was Pereira for Austin in the second half, where it was almost the exact same situation, and he also skied it. Peter even said after the game, we probably both should have scored those. But to your point about Agata, this is sort of what we talked about.
It's what he does.
Previous weeks, where this is where you have to sort of marry the art of watching a player with the science of looking at the advanced stats, because the advanced stats show Willie is he's a very good striker, but we know that he has a tendency to not put shots on frame that sometimes you should get on frame, and that was certainly one where William could have put it away, and it would have been 1-0 Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah,
and that would have changed things.
Would have changed the game, but also we were screwed that whole game. Austin was coming. I was like, oh no, they look so much faster and so much more strong than us.
So the first half, I thought they had about 60% of the possession, 60-40.
Right.
But if you looked at the expected goals, now this is probably because of Williams' miss, and I think it was Shallowy who had a show miss right within.
Sorry, the disrespect. I'm so sorry about the disrespect. I'll stop.
But Sporting was actually leading in terms of XG at the half, even though Austin was winning possession about 60-40, which doesn't bother me because it's their home stadium. Peter said before, it's their stadium. They should be the ones to dictate the game. So I was not bothered by that, especially considering Jolic and Manu Garcia, our two designated players, were not in the game at that moment. So first half, I came out of that feeling like, okay, this isn't terrible. There's opportunity here for Sporting to get a point even. And up until that point, we had never gotten a point at Austin Stadium. We're 0-4.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, this might be a chance. We saw Logan and Denme back at left back, like you said. Joaquin Fernandez rotated in and was starting at center back instead of Danny Rosero. The midfield again was Memo, Bartlett, and Nemanja Radia. I will say, I don't know how I feel about Radia. I know he's kind of playing out of position a little bit, but he's not great in that sort of number 8 box-to-box role. It's just not his skill set. And the midfield was a lot of open space in the midfield against Austin.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. That's something I'm looking for them to try to clean up a bit. And unfortunately, there were chances. We had chances. They had a couple of chances, and it was in the 76th minute, off of a set piece where Bukhari, he got credit for the goal. It was just sort of a missed assignment. There were two Austin players right there at the far post. It snuck through. Daniel Rosero was calling for a foul, wasn't given. I don't know that there really was much there. Jake was standing at the far post and just kind of lost track of the ball, and that's all it took. 76th minute, 1-0 Austin, and that's ultimately the game winner. So
it is nice to see some meaningful soccer, though. Like those preseason games looked a little slow, looked a little college level, if you will. So it is nice to see that fast pace back in action.
Yeah, it is. I just hope that, I asked Joaquin Fernandez after the game about this, and he was like, we work on this stuff all week. Like, we work on set pieces and corners all week. We can't be giving this up. And I don't know if it's Eric Tommy. He kind of looks like he sort of loses track of Cascante a bit. I don't know if he thought Rosero was going to get ahead to it, but Tommy just kind of stops. Jake loses track of it. A lot of confusion. So that's got to be better. The thing that I think, if there's pros and cons, I think, to take from this game. Pros, defense did not allow a goal through the run of play. It was only a set piece, which again is not great, but again, in terms of actual run of play, the defense was decent. And even though they didn't score, when Garcia and Jovic came on, you saw moments. There were some moments between Jovic and Shallowy and Garcia, or they have some good interplay, and you're like, ooh, okay. They just get that refined a little bit, and there's some beautiful soccer to be played there.
You're right. There was also a moment where Jovic had an intentional handball that probably should have been a second yellow, and then he's out of the game. Like, referee took pity on us in that moment. Like, he showed mercy.
And so by the letter of the law, so it didn't impact the play any meaningful way. It was going way out of bounds, and we were already down. There's a few minutes left, so Jovic is trying to stop the ball. And I think what saved him, I think, is he touched it, and then I think realized what he did, and he kind of pulled his hands away, and he didn't turn around and go back and try to hurriedly get the ball. Since he walked away, and I think that might honestly be what saved him. And then Penso was like, don't do it again. But you even saw the Austin coach was losing his mind.
Lived it.
And I love, because I'm reading the lips, you can hear Penso go, are you going to let me talk? Are you going to let me talk? It was so funny.
He was.
But overall,
moments.
I don't know. Just there were moments. Second half, they played quite a bit better than Sporting did, unfortunately. 7 shots to 3 in the second half. So I don't know. I think, again, it's hard to take too much from a -12 game against Inter Miami, where you don't have your DP number 10 starting, and then your first MLS game on the road in a place that's historically been tough for us to win, and neither of your DPs are starting yet. I just, Peter's preaching patience, and I think fans are probably tired of hearing patience, but I think if there's one thing you take from this episode of this podcast today, it's that the expectations going into this year are not the same as the expectations going into last season, where we were coming off a playoff little run and thought maybe we could do it again. We knew going into this year that this would be a rebuilding year. Yeah. And best case scenario, probably we sneak into the lower half of the playoffs. But
maybe
it's not I'm not going to sit here and call for Peter Vermeer's job, especially after one game. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, here we go again, when we knew, and we've been told, and we've been laying the groundwork all offseason, that this is the start of a rebuilding year. So it's going to take a little bit of time.
Well, here's my couple of feelings on these 2 weeks. One, it's going to be hard to take much from 4 games in 11 days. This is rough. You can see the lineup juggling that Peter's doing. Like, Jovic didn't start in Austin, came on for a little bit came on the half, didn't it? Came on at halftime.
Yeah.
So, and then second thing is we're now going to get to see them play where the high in Fort Lauderdale this Tuesday is 75 degrees. So there is no like, oh, it was rainy and cold, or it was Antarctica out there.
Right.
It's going to be better.
But and the other hard thing is we got 4 games in 11 days.
Exactly.
And so how much is Peter going to want to go after the CONCACAF Champions Cup and chase the goal in Miami versus how much is he going to try to put the team in the best position to win the following Saturday when San Jose comes to town for the MLS home opener?
Home opener. That's right. I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be a hell of a time.
It's true. And Peter even said after the Austin game, it's going to take some time. We have to get all these guys together. They have to get 90 minutes fit. The reason why all these guys didn't play is because they're not there yet. And right now we've got to try to keep increasing their minutes each game. It's a little bit of strategy, and you're kind of forced into what you're doing with these guys in regards to when they play and how much they play. Do you start them in the second half? Do you start them in the first half? What do you do? You can see at times there are really good things out there, but we need time. And unfortunately, we just started the season, and now we have to find that as we go into each game. I think that's perfectly fair. And if people are mad about it, I'm not sure what to tell you, but I do think that is a reasonable expectation. So,
we'll see. Want back by popular demand? Do you want Chip, the keeper of stats, input?
Give it
for this week.
Do it.
It's not a long one, but it's good stuff here. So Chip, our good friend Chip, if you guys were paying attention last year. Very analytical guy, loves to break things down, and sends us his thoughts every week, and we read them here on the pod, so it's kind of fun for us as well. So Chip says, we've officially made it to MLS 2025. Sadly, we didn't get the result that we wanted out of the gate, but let's look at numbers. SKC staggered to life this game, providing only 7 shots all game with 2 on target. Those 2 shots, Daniel Shallowy 1 touch off an amazing ball from Agata, and then Manu Garcia carrying it on his own into Austin's half and an attempt outside the box. So yeah, no more shots on target after the 57th minute, which leaves a lot of SKC fans wondering if we're going to be looking at more of the same offensive slump from last year. Was it tired legs from Wednesday? Probably had something to do with it. Agata missing that open net shot didn't help either. All of SKC's attack is compared up against Austin's 12 shots with 2 on target. But given the 4 close calls Austin peppered at Pulse Camp in the first half, that game could have been extremely lopsided if more of those were on target. On another note, SKC is tied for second in the league, with most discipline points after the first game. Miami sitting with 3 yellows and 1 straight red takes the cake, but SKC getting into trouble with yellows will not be doing us any favors. Fernandez, Radia, Jovic, and Davis all got booked. Given that Jake Davis won the Roger Espinoza Yellow Card Award for last season with the most yellows for SKC, cards in 90 plus 3 for getting chippy with the ref is not where we need him to be. Yeah, that happened, by the way. Yellow card for dissent. Real fun.
He was complaining. Yep.
Yeah. For reference, he had 11 yellows last season, which was tied for 5th most in MLS in 2024. Given how much our side needs his hustle, having Davis out for yellow accumulation will only hurt us. I have to tell myself that Brody was not on the bench for this game, so rotating him into the set is an unknown as to how it'll impact performance. Who's Brody? Who are we talking about?
So that was one thing we haven't actually touched on yet. Andrew Brody, he was signed by Sporting KC, the 29-year-old outside back from Real Salt Lake.
Sorry, I forgot all about that. Moving him into defense allows Davis to play mid. I have seen the memes and heard the commentator mention it during the game. The SKC fan base needs to see proof of life. There you go.
Yeah, and that's why I think I'm not saying throw out a non-competitive lineup on Tuesday against Miami.
We won't.
But I don't think people expect us to win on the road in Miami. Will it give a jolt of life to the fan base if we do? Sure, absolutely.
Would not be.
But I think what would be more important is putting on a good performance next Saturday at Children's Mercy Park against the San Jose Earthquakes. They need to score at least a goal, but preferably 2 or more goals next Saturday for the home opener. There are, I preach and I believe truly these are new players. You got to give them time, new to the league, etc. The counter to that would be, well, yeah, but you can look around the league and you see new players who are scoring, 1, 2 goals all over the league. Which, yes, but a lot of those teams are set up for more success than Sporting, which is rebuilding. So However, I do think that it is important for the psyche of the fan base to see some fruits of this team's new attack and hopefully get a win next Saturday against San Jose. But
100%, man. I mean, you got it. San Jose's been really bad year over year. So if there's a better home opener, tell me, because I can't see it. We need to get this.
unfortunately, San Jose did beat RSL, who's not great themselves, but they won 4-0 this past Saturday.
San Jose is going to be better this year. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
They have Bruce Arena. They scored 3 goals after the 70th minute and ultimately won 4-0. So it got a little out of hand there. But they have Christian Arango, who is a former LAFC and RSL designated player striker. They have Joseph Martinez, who's there playing alongside him up top. They still have Christian Espinoza. I mean, they have some players that Bruce Arena's brought in that, their attack, if things go well, could be potent. So,
okay,
I think Sporting's going to have to.
My optimism.
Well, no, a lot of people I think still think that they may miss the playoffs, but I think Sporting KC are going to have to score some goals in order to beat San Jose next week.
Yeah.
So now the last 2 times we've played, we've won both matches 2-1. So
yeah,
that happens on
It'll
Saturday.
be fun, man.
Great.
I'm excited to get out there, dude. Got my seat switched over to handicap, so I'm going to take the old elevator up there, and it'll be fun. If you see a guy on a walker, get out of his fucking way because he's coming.
We did mention briefly, but yeah, Sporting KC did announce that they acquired outside back Andrew Brody off waivers. He's just a 1-year contract through the end of this year. He's 29 years old. He's made 238 professional appearances. He had 17 assists and 2 goals across 133 matches for Real Salt Lake over the past 4 years. So he's an experienced guy. He's not going to be a starter for SKC, but since Kyrie's been dealing with a little bit of health issues, I really think they want to get Jake back in the midfield. So Brody can play left or right back. So like Chip said, it'll be interesting to see when he gets thrown into the lineup or at least is available off the bench. And then the other move that Sporting Kansas City made, which caught many people, ourselves included, off guard, was Friday night at 7:15 p.m. Central Time. This was just a couple days after they had announced their fully compliant roster, but Sporting Kansas City announced that the team had waived forward Elenis Vargas. He just 21 years old, signed ahead of last season. He had 6 goals and 7 assists with Sporting KC2 the year before. He had 2 goals and 1 assist in 20 league appearances for Sporting KC and MLS last year. This was a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of a Friday news dump. And when Peter was asked after the game what was going on there, all he said was, quote, "Just a decision from our perspective. That's it. He's moving on to different things, and for us, at the end, he needs to go find a different solution for his career."
Yeah, I'm sure, I'm sure it wasn't mutual. I'm sure it's like, hey, we're going to move on from you. Maybe something happened, maybe disciplinary. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people who are like, oh, something must have happened off the field. Maybe, but I mean, I don't want to jump to that conclusion, especially since Sporting thanked him for his time on Instagram. If it were something especially bad, I don't think they would do that. I don't know this for a fact, but if I had to guess, my guess is he was unhappy with the amount of minutes he was getting. He wasn't progressing like Peter wanted to. We saw he had all the potential in the world last year, but maybe in training he just wasn't taking that next step. And if you look at, okay, well, now we have Afrifa who is taking a little bit of a next step. We have Shapi Suleimanov. We have, Vargas was the 5th winger on the roster. So
I need you to know that an LA Galaxy player just took a horrible touch and it passed it right into the box for a San Diego goal to go up 1-0.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my Lord.
Game on behind here. Yeah.
Okay.
If San Diego...
It's like a Watson, when we were live.
Yeah, if San Diego are going to win this, that's going to be how they're going to do it. But that was pretty bad.
That's fantastic, though. I'm all in.
So I don't know. It's weird what happened with Vargas because he's so young, and I think he had so much potential. But clearly, it wasn't the right fit. So
I guess that's all right, man. He wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time, and it's not like you didn't find yourself being like, "Man, I hope Alennis Vargas comes on." It was never like that.
the only thing with him was he was so fast and athletic that it was really like late in the game, like 80th minute or later, if he needed somebody to come on and like bring up the energy, he could do it.
Torch an outside back.
Right. But then he didn't have the skill on the ball to really be able to do much with it after that. Like he would lose the ball or lose it at his feet or outrun the ball or whatnot. In the 6 minutes or so that we've seen Shapi Suleimanov play, he seems like he's got a little bit of pace, but he's also much more controlled with the ball than Alennis Vargas. So I think he may be able to play that. And I'm not throwing Daniel under the bus yet. We all know Daniel's no Daniels, but Shapi Suleimanov, if I were Daniel, I'd want to make sure that I'm informed pretty quick here because I have a feeling that once Shapi gets, 90 minutes fit and gets familiar with the system, this might be the Shapi and Eric show on the wings.
Could be, man. The shop is open.
The shop is open. There you go. I like it. There's really nothing else much to talk about from a Sporting Kansas City perspective, but was there anything else from around the league that sort of caught your attention that you just wanted to mention? Was there another game that you saw where the scoreline caught your eye a little bit before we call it good this week?
I mentioned that docuseries already, by the way. If y'all haven't had a chance to go check that out, it really is cool and got me a little more excited for the season as a whole. They had a whole decision day, like Atlanta's little story and how they knocked out Miami, in that first round or whatever it was, and then and of course they have a whole MLS Cup episode as well. But from around the league standpoint, from this weekend, I mean, there's a couple 0-0 draws in there, a couple other like 2-2 draws. Atlanta back on top, getting 3-2 against Montreal. They need that, man. Atlanta needs to bounce back. LAFC kicked it off.
Well, LAFC did kick it off. I was just saying Miguel Almiron sort of picked up right where he left off with Atlanta. He came back and he was just he looked like he never left. And Atlanta's Emmanuel Latelaf, their record signing. I mean, that dude, he's gonna be a problem. He scored 2 goals already.
And LAFC picked up where they left off as being one of the most dominant teams in Major League Soccer. Kicking off the season, they weren't scheduled against any other games, which was kind of cool. But I will say, man, and people would probably argue this, but like, is Ohio the soccer capital of America? Because like Cincinnati and Columbus are fantastic teams, and there's a whole episode of them in the docuseries, and the hell is real. Also, the little New York episode as well, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, Columbus just torched Chicago 4-2.
Yeah, and the 2 goals for Chicago came from a couple of just real nice goals from Gutierrez, but I mean, Columbus, man, they're still pretty good. So
Portland got murdered today by Vancouver.
I did see that. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And then St. Louis doesn't look all that good. They drew 0-0 with Colorado. I think the most shocking result is probably the 4-0 San Jose result, just because I don't think anybody maybe saw that one coming. But I don't know.
I will say what's shocking. There's other Champions Cup games, by the way. I mean, you're looking at Colorado and LAFC have a thing going on right now, and Colorado's up 2-1 on them, but LAFC was able to score an away goal, which might help them when they got to go play in LA this Tuesday. So it's exciting, man.
Cincinnati, RSL, and Seattle and Vancouver are all still in CONCACAF Champions Cup, obviously, as well, in terms of MLS teams. So,
dude, MLS did great. I mean, RSL drew their game 0-0, but every other team beat their non-MLS counterpart.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Vancouver did not. Vancouver did not win their game.
Oh, that's true. Well, and technically Vancouver didn't qualify via MLS play. They qualified via Canadian Cup.
Sure.
Yeah. But they're obviously an MLS team. So anyway, the only last thing I'll say that I forgot to mention, very weird seeing Ilie Sanchez as captain of Austin.
Man,
Did not like.
He's going with the detached beard, by the way, which I could never pull off. I've tried it before, and I'm like, well, I blew that. And he's also got the samurai sensei hair pulled back, with the half pony situation. I'm like, this guy has way too much style. How is he allowed to do that? It's not fair.
I miss him, but it also goes to show you the type of player he is and the respect that he commands from his teammates, where in the literal first game for his new club, he was voted by his teammates as captain.
He's captain. And now, while I miss him, I 100% was rooting for him to get a second yellow and get kicked out of that game.
Yeah, I get it. He had to be careful a little bit there. It was funny, when he got his first yellow and he just does the finger wag to the referee when
it's a patented thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he almost got a second. People were like, oh, he better be careful. He's on a yellow. He just tackled someone from behind.
Yeah. But he's I had someone ask me on Blue Sky, and I had an answer, but he was like, who do you think was a worse player to let go? Was it Ilie or was it Ike Opara? And for me, it's pretty clear. I said Ilie just because even though Ike had one more Defender of the Year season, his injuries and his career just was cut short. Ilie's gone up to an MLS Cup and has had a brilliant career post-Sporting.
The Ilie thing hurts a little bit, man, and he's gone on to a couple really great teams and franchises. I mean, Austin's a really fun place to be. Like, I visited there; it seems like a fun place to live. So that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, you got anything else for our good listeners?
Nah, man, it's exciting. If you see us out there at the game, say hello. But this is fun. Let's get it. We're home opener coming.
Let's do it. Well, thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate it. Make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and review. If you have not yet done so, we'll read it here on air. Make sure you follow us on socials at No Other Pod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer. You can send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. But until next time, he's Dan, I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
It's the William Agata Redemption Week.